Welcome to another video, guys. In this video I want to talk about the raid build that I will be playing in 9.2. Um, if you have seen my previous video, I will be playing enhancement Shami, as I have been since Wrath of the Lich King. Um, this will be my main, and we will get into raiding again in 9.2. So let's talk about the build. First up are the talents. Um, as you can see, I'm running Night Fae. As I'm in the Night Fae Covenant, Sanctum, or Hall, or what you want to call it. As 9.2 comes in, there are a few changes. I have talked about those changes in the previous video, so if you want to know all about it, go check out that video, and I will talk about it. So let's get straight into it. I am playing Night Fae, and my build will be the following. In the first row, I will play Elemental Blast. I think that has been the go-to talent for raiding since 9.1, 9.0 actually. Then in the next row, you can choose between these two. You have Storm Flurry. Storm Strike has a 25% chance to trigger an additional time for 40% of the normal damage. And it can chain off itself, which is pretty nice because with Storm Flurry, if you get extra hits with Storm Strike, Elemental Assault will give you more stacks of Maelstrom. And with the legendary you play, your elemental spirits will have a lower, or your feral spirits will have a lower cooldown. You can also play Hot Hand. I think with Hot Hand I did get higher damage output, but I will test them both. Hot Hand gives your melee auto attacks with Flame Tongue a 5% chance to reduce the cooldown of your Lava Lash and increase the damage of your Lava Lash. Now this one is nice because you can combine it with one of the conduits, and we'll get into it in a second. In the next row, the level 30 row, you can actually play whatever you want, but I like to play either Spirit Wolf or Earth Shield. Earth Shield just to keep it up on the tank or on yourself if you're taking damage. Or Spirit Wolf to get out of things you need to run out of. Most of the times I play Spirit Wolf as I'm used to it, since I did, I think 9.0 and 9.1 already. And I keep forgetting to put Earth Shield up on anyone, so I might as well run Spirit Wolf. For the next one, the only option here is Elemental Assault. Hailstorm and Fire Nova are AoE abilities, which will not be strong in raiding, only if you are clearing trash, but for the actual bosses you will have Elemental Assault as the only option. Then in the next row I like to play Nature's Guardian, but on some bosses where you need to move, I like to run Windrush Totem. You can check out what boss has what ability. If you get into it and you see, hey, I'm not getting to from point A to point B in time, try to play Windrush Totem, drop it down, and you get some extra movement speed for everyone that runs through it. If you do, try to coordinate it with the group. Won't be too hard, but go for it. In the next row, I play Sundering. Just as I said in the last video, this is the best one for both AoE and single target damage. And in the last row, again in 9.2, as I've said in the previous video, this is the only option, together with the set bonus. To get into that, the set bonus is that if you're spending Maelstrom weapon stacks, you have a 3% chance per stack to summon a feral spirit, and your feral spirits have a chance to trigger Stormbringer to get your Storm Strike off cooldown and keep using your Storm Strikes. Now the elemental spirits will will be reduced in cooldown by 30 seconds, so it won't be 2 minutes but 1.5 minutes, and it will increase the fire, frost, and lightning abilities. So it will increase the abilities that you have, which is really nice, and also the extra spirits that you spawn will have those extra ability enhancements, which is really nice. and you can just spam Storm Strikes if you're lucky with the Stormbringer. Now I'm playing Night Fae, so I get the Clasp of Unity with the Night Fae legendary effect, which is that each pulse of the Fae transfusion damage will reduce the cooldown of Feral Spirits by 9 seconds, and it will increase my crit by 4 seconds. Now, if you're playing this, you would like to have Haste and Mastery as your main stats, but since you will have a bit of crit, the increased 4% for every tick that it does add up and will be really nice for your damage. Besides that, I will be playing the legendary. Where are the legendaries? There we go. The Witch Doctor Wolf Bones, of course, to get the cooldown on the wolves down even further. It's only 1.5 minutes, so 1 minute 30 seconds. With the Fate Transfusion, you can basically, if you get into combat, use your wolves, Fate Transfusion, use your wolves again, and you have 4 wolves up. Other than that, you will get it down really quick with your Witch Doctor Wolf Bones. And added to that, you will get it down with this one, the Conduit for the Night Fae ability. That one will be lower in cooldown by 36 seconds. This is if you have it on the 552 item level, and if you have the second row as a buffed conduit, like I have here. If it's lower, it's 34 seconds base, so it gets another 2 seconds cooldown. So the Night Fae ability is at 1.4 minutes cooldown, which is pretty nice. So every 1.4 minutes, you will use your spirits, Fae Transfusion, use your spirits again to get a lot of damage in. Other than that, I'm running the Magma Fist, so your Lava Lash has an additional 31% crit chance, which means that I am running Hot Hand as well. There is no real good one, I think, if you run Storm Flurry, and I think this is the reason why Hot Hand works out better than Storm Flurry. Sometimes you can have increased damage on your Flame Shocks, on your Lava Lashes. Hot Hand will buff the damage by 100%, so that's pretty nice. With the added critical strike chance, maybe even if you use the Fate Transfusion and get the 4% per tick of damage it does, your crits will go up as well. Other things, why you need to play Dreamweaver, by the way, is that you have a few really nice options, and this is the best one. The Field of Blossoms. Fate Transfusion puts flowers at your feet for 24 seconds that increase your haste by 15% while you stand in them. This means that if you use your Fate Transfusion, use it in a spot where you know you can stay for a little bit, and then you basically have a small Bloodlust on yourself for 24 seconds as long as you stand in it, which is really strong. The other one, the defensives I use, is the Condensed Animasphere. I think it's basically a standard in all my builds now. And I run the Vital Aggression for the Earth Elemental. When I summon it, my health is increased by 36%. You do have another option here that is either Astral Protection or Refreshing Waters. I do not think they are too good, especially the Astral Protection. I don't think I ever used it. I might run Refreshing Waters just to make sure that if things go bad, I have some extra healing on myself if needed. But this one, I have raided with this one before. I used it in Mythic Plus before. It's really nice. I will have to test it out. I might swap it out after the first week of raiding just to check how the other conduits do. So yeah, that's basically it. And for the finesse conduit, I used Thunderous Paws just as in the Mythic Plus video. And the last potency conduit is actually the Focused Lightning, which is really strong. Showed it in the previous video in Mythic Plus as well. It can be very strong in there as well, but in here we will use it with elemental blasts, which will deal incredible amounts of damage. It already has good damage on it. Maelstrom weapon increases the damage of it, and this will increase it even further. So that's basically the build I'm running. Now let's get into testing this. Get the buffs up. Let's go to the raiding dummy. Now you do want to keep your flame shock up, but that won't be too much of a problem now, since your lava lash will extend the duration of it. So let's get into it. We flame shock, wolves, night fae ability, and as you can see, my wolves are almost up again. There we go, wolves are up again. And you can see I have a lot of flame shocks. Now it looks like the night fae ability is up, but that's just the heal from the ability. And you can see my flame shock is getting refreshed every time I use it. I did miss one of my elemental blasts there, so we'll have to wait until we get more. There we go. There's another set of wolves. I did mess up there by casting an ability. We have wolves again. Fey Transfusion is coming back in a few seconds. There we go, Fey Transfusion again. And we can press wolves again. So this is basically the build. I do need to fine tune it a little bit by pressing the right button at the right time. Like the cast that I did was actually pretty bad. It takes down a few seconds of other things you can press. So that's basically it. We are at 9.2k. We'll go down a bit as my flame shock is still up. So let's see how we did. Obviously, Storm Strike is really high, but as you can see, Lava Lash is pretty high as well. This has to do with the added critical strike that you get from Fey Transfusion, the Conduit for Lava Lash that will increase the damage, that will increase the crit chance against targets with Flame Shock, and the damage from the talent of Hot Hand. So this is actually pretty strong. Both abilities, I mean, I have casted Lava Lash only 20 times, and I had Storm Strike 31 times, which is pretty good. And the third one is actually the melee hits from the Spirit Wolves, which is really strong. You can see the Molten Weapon dot. This is the Feral Spirit, the Fire Feral Spirit. Has a dot that it will give your target. The Icy Edge from the Ice one, which is pretty nice. It will add up a bit. The Fey Transfusion wasn't too much damage, but it will buff you in other ways. The 15% haste that you will get from it if you stand in those flowers with Dreamweaver, and all the Stormbringer procs from your wolves, cooldown on your wolves. It's all pretty good. Now let's see how we did. Let's see. Feral Spirits had an uptime of 1 minute and 42 seconds, which is almost 80% of the time, which is really strong. 80% of the time we had wolves up, and wolves can buff the damage of other spells, and they can reset your Stormbringer. your Storm Strike with the Stormbringer procs, which is really nice. So this is basically the build that I will be playing. I do need to min-max it a bit better. I will need to focus a bit more on the right stats. I would like to get a bit more haste. Right now I'm only at item level 250 on the PDR. I didn't went and get all the highest items. I just copied my character from a few weeks ago and got the set items and did 1 plus 15 to get a 278 weapon. I was lucky for once to get a weapon. The other weapon is still 239. So I can still upgrade my gear a bit, and when I do I will have probably higher haste and higher mastery. But for Mythic Plus I will need haste and crit, so I might have to do 2 item sets, or at least switch some items around in order to min-max it a bit more. Now I had 9.2k DPS, but I think I can pump it up to 10, 10.5, maybe 11 if I'm doing it a bit better. And of course, when I get better gear, I will have more agility and I will deal more damage from that as well. Also, I will need new trinkets. Right here I had 2 pretty bad trinkets to test it, but it is what it is. This is my video on my rating spec. If you have any tips, anything I can improve, if you want to see me play anything, try anything out on a chamois, let me know. And that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.